So this is actually the final reading recommendation. I don't know why I didn't think, like, I don't know what I was thinking, kind of sort of thing. One of those things. I think it was because it was the last, like, reading recommendations plus library hall. Whereas this is the actual final reading recommendations. Not a library hall for a little while. I mentioned why before. You can watch those other reading recommendations. I think some of these are volume 2s. Actually, I know some of them. One of them is volume 6 and 7. So I kind of wanted to get the reviews for the entire series, too. And this is probably the one time where it'll go from 12 to 0. It'll actually say 0 items checked out on my account in the library. Again, I mentioned why that's going to be on hiatus for however long it's going to be. But no balls to ask them if I can go back because I think it's been long enough, you know. First one up is My Hero Academia Volume 4. It's just I feel the exact same as I did for the last volume. It's stuck. They're like stuck at the same exact spot. I can tell you like nothing. If you had told me that let's say I wasn't paying attention to what volume we were on, and maybe I picked up volume 4 thinking it was volume 3, I probably wouldn't have noticed at all. Because they're in the same exact area. There's just fighting again. Fighting in this place. Fighting in that place. That's not all a book should be. And it seems to be fighting in the same place, too. Like, it's just the same, like... It takes place within 2 days. That's the same exact shit. Like, nothing's changing. It's just the same old. And it's getting really boring, honestly. And I'm really starting to not see anymore why this is such a popular anime/manga. And I get like that, like you want like the big fight. It's supposed to like show how he's progressing, but it's just the same exact shit. Like seems to be have the same outcome too. Like everything's the same. I literally would not have been able to tell if I picked up volume 4 instead of volume 3 because I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. Or I picked up volume 4 before volume 3, then read volume 3 after, and then just noticed now. Like just now I noticed, you know, it wouldn't have faced me at all. Voice correct. Queen and Country has to be the weirdest book I've ever read. Not like plot wise, but just the fact that everything besides like the characters are very interesting. You want to know like their struggles and you know how they get through everything, and you like want to see how they like how like for Spider-Man, how they wrote those characters, the Marvel characters, you know, that kind of thing. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining it, I know, but you care about the characters. But everything else in it, the action is pretty nice too, although it's black and white, so it's not really defined. Because I feel like when it's in color, that's when the action really pops out. And yeah, anime like manga, that's pretty good too, and it's black and white. But like I feel like color is where it really stands out. But just like when they were going to talk about the CIA stuff, it's so boring, and they feel the need to have like to talk about the CIA junk, like it's technobabble or psychobabble, whatever you call it. Just droning on and on and on about that, and it's not interesting at all. I don't know why they feel the need to include it, because I just gloss right over it, and it just becomes a forgettable issue sometimes. It is still pretty good. Like it got better going towards the end, but honestly, it's kind of forgettable. Like I forget how it ends. I forget how it starts. I don't remember a whole lot of the story. I remember more about what the characters were doing than like, oh, who died, who lived, you know. I mean, spoilers, they all live, but and I think at least one of them died. Spoilers, one of them dies. Green Arrow, they had, I think it was the second page. I wanted to almost like if I was more like critical about this type of stuff, then I would probably have just thrown at I would have stopped reading the comic. I would have given up on the comic. And Green Arrow calls himself a social justice warrior, and that is like, I feel like if I was a bigger Green Arrow fan, I would have completely just dropped this book like a ton of bricks, because SJWs are ruining today's society. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. They're the ones that are going on Twitter and being insulted about something that happened 5 years ago, and are canceling people and costing them their jobs because they made a fucking joke. And Green Arrow calls himself one of those people, and I'm pretty sure Benjamin Percy is one too. And it's a shame because I really liked Benjamin Percy's writing. This I didn't like. Black Canary is extremely insufferable in this book. And again, if I was a Black Canary fan, I'd probably hate this book. I would have, again, dropped this book like a ton of bricks as soon as I finished that first issue. I mean, the plot is pretty interesting. Like, it keeps you on your toes, but you don't, like, care what's going on after a while. Like, you're just like, whatever. I will not be picking up Volume 2. I will be instead getting the 80 Years of the Emerald Archer. Because for whatever reason, I have a hankering to read the Golden Age Green Arrow. I don't know why. Because usually when I read Golden Age, I just completely it's like reading Silver Age for me. Because I feel like the best parts about Golden Age and Silver Age books are when comics would get really ridiculous, or when they would have like dated dialogue. I think you know what I mean by that. Not just like how they talked, but how they were about certain minorities or whatever. That's a perfect way of explaining it. Aquaman Volume 3 by Dan Abnett finally picks up. Dan Abnett is never, ever, ever going to be one of my favorite writers. He is very middle of the road for me. I don't even like his Guardians of the Galaxy. The last time I read it, that is. It's been a while since I've read his Guardians of the Galaxy. But I didn't like his Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think he writes too slow, and especially in this book. But he writes like the opposite of how I expect comic book writers to write, but not totally the opposite. Like, he doesn't rely on like heavy dialogue all the time. I mean, he did last few issues, but I don't remember Guardians of the Galaxy being too dialogue heavy. He was good with action in Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, James Gunn did take that run as inspiration to make the movie, which I love. So obviously there had to have been enough action in it. And they finally picked up. Volume 4, I really hope they have. Because that's the one they say is the best one out of all of them. Even Goodreads, and I was surprised. Like, they gave, like, the first 3 volumes, like, nothing was above a 3.8, I don't think. That one was actually at 3.7. It was the lowest out of the 3, and I thought it was the best out of the 3. Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello, Volume 1. I have read this before, and I liked it just as much as I did last time. It's a good run, and I think people get too attached, not too attached, but they get like too involved in the continuity. So when you change something about the character's continuity or about their backstory, people go nuts. And if this isn't technically canon, it's an alternate version of Wonder Woman. I'm stuttering like hell. I don't know why. It's an alternate version of Wonder Woman to an extent. I know it was supposed to be the norm back then. Like, that was gonna be like the new status quo, and they're just like rebooting everything. But it's nothing. They didn't change like too much about mythology to where it was super insulting. I feel like the main reason why people hate this run with the haters, their main reason was, oh, they changed this about her backstory, and it was nothing too major. In fact, it was something that doesn't make sense really. It was made back in the Golden Age because it didn't have to make sense. It was the Golden Age. Avengers, the Children's Crusade. This one was in terrible shape. I have no idea why. It was surprising because I thought, like, it took me forever to read this book because I had to finish Young Avengers. Young Avengers was a pretty long book apparently for me, and never got around to finishing it until just recently, which is good because I have it was just a complete collection, 12 plus issues, and I have omnibuses that are like 50 plus issues, but I feel like the thing about me and why I don't like to finish the book right away is, first of all, I want everything. Like, I want all the Christmas books to come in before I read them, and I'll be fine with waiting, whatever. But what's my point is I want everything to come in, and then I'll start reading the books. I don't know why I'm like that. I mean, it's gotten worse. But okay, I'm trailing off. Okay, so Avengers Children. My point was, the reason why I don't finish the books right away is because I feel like I'll binge them and read them like a day or two apparently. But Avengers Children Crusade I really liked. It's saying I do like I can't not say because I just don't have a script and it's fine because I've never needed a script and if anything, it'd be worse. But do like this. I do like this run, and I wish that Alan Henberg would come back and write. And it's kind of funny because he writes he writes for shows like Grey's Anatomy, which I would never even consider watching. It sounds I don't like hospital dramas to begin with. It just like it looks like a big budget or a bigger budget soap opera with better actors. That's exactly what that show seems like to me. My sister loves that show, and every time I like hear it in the background, it would sound just the stupidest shit ever. And it's surprising that someone like that would make a comic book that's one of my favorite Avengers books of all time. And I'd say that I can say that with pure confidence, 100% confidence, because I haven't read a whole lot of Avengers books. When I really think about it, I really haven't, which is surprising because I've been reading comics for a while now. I mean, yeah, it hasn't been 10 years yet, but almost. See, yeah, this one was good. And it was pretty good price too. If I had to buy it, it was $30 or what they would charge you for, they charge $34.99 now. Captain Marvel, the last volume before it got canceled for the 50th. Actually, back then it was like the second time probably, and then like in a span of 6 years, I got canceled twice more. This was all right. I've never been a huge fan, and I don't think I ever will be a huge fan of Captain Marvel. And I understand the hate 100%. But I did like the last 2 issues the most, and I don't know why. And there was something that happened at the end that I was super surprised that they did. And I wonder if they've kept that certain thing in continuity. Because I feel like they haven't, but also there's no part of me that's like, okay, then prove it, you know? There's no part of me that like no, actually, I remember here, like, you know, it's just one of those things I thought they always had in the, and without giving too much away. You know, I spoiled that other thing, the Queen and Country shit. That wasn't really a huge spoiler. It wasn't a huge spoiler. I didn't say who died, and based on my reaction of it, it wasn't it wasn't a major character. Deadpool Classic Volume 6. It was a pretty good run. I do like Christopher Priest's run. It was a bit choppy here and there, and I wouldn't say it was my favorite run, but it was definitely better than Joe Kelly's run. And Joe Kelly's run I've come completely full circle on. Like, I used to hate his run, and I really love Joe Kelly's run on Deadpool. Especially towards the end. Like, he really defined Deadpool, and Christopher Priest continued that, but had a lot less. The one thing I did not like about Joe Kelly's run, will always never like about it, is there's so much dialogue, and Christopher Priest knows how to, he knows how to he knows how to do the dialogue and action, he knows how to match them well, and still keep with the character of Deadpool. But so far, my favorite run of Deadpool, in the Deadpool classics, I'd say my favorite is probably Jerry Duggan's run, but my second favorite would have to be Jimmy Palmiotti's run. And I will definitely be considering getting his Harley Quinn. I mean, he's teamed up with Amanda Connor, but getting those first 2 Harley Quinn omnibuses probably next year or Christmas. Although I already have like a bunch of other books that I put some down. Like, okay, I can't get this one because of this reason, so I'll replace it with this one. You know, I have to. I'm still doing that to this day, and I've been doing that since last May, like 2021 May. Trillium has to be Jeff Lemire's worst book. I'm sorry to say, to all 5 people that read this book, it was just so boring. And it's Jeff Lemire. Like, Jeff Lemire could make anything interesting. I feel like he was too focused on another book to give this too much attention. So he just wrote a first draft really quickly and then gave it to DC Comics. And it's like, here, have the artist draw a lot of trippy artwork. So that's the best. And that's the best. Actually, no, he was the artist. Duh. Or the colorist. I think he wait. Because does it say? Because sometimes there's an artist and a colorist. See? So it was him and Josie, someone else. So he told Josie, "Hey, here's put some weird colors on there," and of course, he drew it anyways. But it definitely is trippy, and I feel like if you were high, it would be the best book to read if the fucking power was out or some shit, or the TV was out. Because if the power was out, we kind of can't read. Well, you could, actually, you could, use flashlights. Heroes in Crisis. I wanted to read it, and it's very forgettable. Honestly, there was things I watched the Top to Fourth Wall review, and he hated it, absolutely despised it. And for me, I just found it forgettable, because he would keep mentioning stuff, and I was like, that happened in the book? And that was the issue I just left off on. And there was Comic Pop, too. I watched a few minutes, some of their review, not the whole thing. Because I wanted to watch Top to Fourth Wall more than Comic Pop, apparently. And it was like, that happened? And then actually, Comic Pop mentioned something that I thought was a spoiler. I was so mad at them for spoiling. And I was like, wait a minute. You're talking about the first issue. How the hell? I always knew about the Wally West thing. That was what I knew going in. And I thought that was the worst part about this book. But apparently that is. It was also kind of the dialogue was really weird at times. And Tom King is known for writing really weird dialogue. Even Grant Morrison, which you'll be seeing a review of his book next, even Grant Morrison, he writes, really weird, but the dialogue is almost always, how people talk, or how people would talk in this scenario, how real people would talk in that scenario. And just Tom King does not know how to write realistic dialogue sometimes. But I am one of those people that does actually like Tom King. I liked his Strange Adventures. I liked most of his Batman run. And I loved his Vision 12-issue miniseries. Everyone who says they hate Tom King, go read his Vision 12-issue miniseries. You'll most likely be satisfied with it. But some people will be like, "Oh, I'll pirate it. I don't like Tom King because..." Okay, yeah, it's a pretty good reason why someone doesn't want to hate. That's why someone hates Tom King. I do hate the guy. I hate the guy himself. I like his writing. He's a terrible person in real life. Absolutely awful. I will never understand why Comic Pop had an interview with the guy, because he's a terrible human being, and he's a bully too. He bullied Jay Lee, but his writing isn't too. And again, he's not one of my favorite writers. I won't pick up a book just because Tom King wrote it. I'll look up the reviews. But and I understand why people hate him too. Completely understand why people hate it. It's writing more or less. And I feel like everyone now, all the big comic pros, they write good books sometimes. They'll be a good writer, but then the person behind their book will be terrible. But almost every book now out now is terrible. It's kind of funny that I'm still running out. Imagine if every book was good. I would never be able to buy trades ever again. That's why I'm glad that I can pace myself. Yeah, I would rather have every comic be good, but sometimes it's nice to save some money. Okay, then finally, the Filth. A lot better than I remember it being. Keep saying The first issue I always loved the most, and I don't know what it was. I finally figured it out. It's because we're following characters you actually care about. And then we follow his, the other guys, and it's not as interesting. When we're following the main character, Greg Feely, I think it is, it's really interesting because, Grant Morrison set up the character really well. That's it. This will be the last reading recommendations for a while, and I should have done it on Thursday. Did part 1 on Thursday or Tuesday or Thursday, and then part 2 did now or whatever, because I usually do 1 video a week. Hey, still technically this week, but I at least did 1 video Tuesday or Thursday because there's a reading recommendation plus library haul. And then maybe, say, Tuesday was that, and then Thursday was sometimes it's Comic Haul. Every other week, at least. But I almost always did at least 1 video per week. And I kind of fell out of that routine. That's it. Or did I? Because when they upload that, I don't know. I can't find my phone. I gave up so easily. I don't want to waste time on the video looking for my phone and have a bunch of dead air. And My watch time is terrible for some videos. The Green Arrow one I really need to redo. And I feel like it needs to like not do it like this, but flip the camera around, just hold the camera, and then show the book, like I did for that short. Because when I did the other thing, it was just terrible. That's it.